Al Leiter, the Major League Baseball Network, kind enough to join us before he takes a flight back home. The Astros won the World Series because why, Al?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say that the three true outcomes of baseball really was very evident during this World Series. DP, I mean, when they broke the home run record, you boatload of strikeouts. There were only 4 stolen bases throughout the entire World Series, and I think now this is no knock on Dave Roberts, but we're in a absolute sabermetric world of baseball, and I think that it's the decisions for each respective manager to pull starters, I think ultimately burnt out guys. You can't lay on and lean on the same 2 or 3 guys, even though this is becoming a reliever-centric world of baseball as we're watching this evolve. Managers can't wait to pull starters, to get to a middle reliever, to start the matchups, and eventually when you get to games 5, 6, and 7, and you're leaning on a guy like a Brendan Morrow who pitched every game except Game 4 of the LCS and postseason, yeah, you bet you're going to be tired. And I think you saw that. And ultimately, in the end, believe it or not, because the Dodgers actually had the better bullpen, certainly with Kenley Jansen anchoring down, a guy like Brad Peacock and Charlie Morton were the difference in this World Series.
Were the Dodgers outmanaged, or did the Dodgers overmanage?
I would say I love Dave Roberts. I'm not going to say outmanaged. I think maybe there was some overmanaging. When you're taking guys out and they give up their first hit that happens to be a home run in the 6th inning, and then you say that you were trying to extend him, and if he didn't have a no-hitter a la Alex Wood in his start, I would have taken him out after 5 innings. It just, for me, DP, that blows my mind. As a starting pitcher much of my career, and a guy like Bobby Valentine who kept me in for 143 pitches in the 9th inning in the 2000 World Series when I was with the Mets against the Yankees. Ultimately, we were losing. And we're talking about starters that are being taken out with 60, 70, 80 pitches, and they only gave up 1 run. I don't understand it. And then, therefore, we're watching a lot of middle reliever guy matchup stuff to eventually get to your setup guy closer. So I think there were a couple starts, and we saw the reaction of Rich Hill in a couple of his starts getting pulled out early, and Alex Wood and others. But it wasn't only, Dave Roberts. It's just the mindset of where the analytics department of respective front offices are having influence on baseball games.
I know that we're a results-based sports society, so we look at Kershaw and say, well, they should have started Kershaw. I'm not sure where you stand on it. I'll get your opinion. I'll give you mine. But Darvish got roughed up again. Kershaw looked good. Should they have started him, Kershaw, from the outset?
No. Listen, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So Kershaw, not having his first start was terrific, 11 strikeouts and just absolute domination in Game 1. Not so much in the Game 5. So I really thought Darvish, after his clunker in Houston, that he was going to be better than the inning in 2/3 that he did in Houston.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I mean, right from Jump Street, gave up a couple runs, and then the big blow by George Springer, and all of a sudden you're down 5-zip. And in a World Series game, that's a huge hole. In hindsight, let Kershaw start. Did Dave Roberts think he could get 4 solid? And I can't believe I'm saying this. 4 innings to me would be an absolute disappointment if I started and pitched 4 innings of any game. But for Darvish to not get through 2, quick hook, but when you give up a 2-run jack and now you're down by 5, that was too much for the Dodgers to overcome.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous to all of a sudden now knowing what Kershaw did and then say, well, he should have started. Darvish is an all-star. This is why you acquired him. This is why the Astros acquired Verlander, for these moments. He didn't step up in either start, but I can't sit here and go, yep, they should have had Kershaw in there, because if Kershaw starts Game 7, gets blown up, then people say, why would you start him? Darvish was on full rest there, and so I'm not buying into that. I did want to ask you this, though, the tipping of the pitches, at least the report that Darvish was tipping his pitches. Did you notice anything with Darvish?
This is where I always thought every pitcher's insecure to begin with, and I always thought everybody was, stealing signs and everything. Oh no, I did. I had multiple signs with nobody on base. But when you get a pitch, when you make a good pitch, meaning let's say your secondary slider or curveball, and it's off the plate, and you see a guy after 2 fastballs inside, and he's not fooled. He's not out in front on his front foot. He's balanced and he's taken it and he's seen all the way. Those are indicators that you say, wait a minute. I mean, that was a 2-1 slider, slightly off the plate, 3, 4, 5 inches, and you took it like nothing. So that would be my red flag. I didn't know. I guess I wasn't watching as closely up until I read, I guess, the same stories that you were reading. Mm-hmm. But something was up because, listen, he's not a bad pitcher. You mentioned All-Star, and they brought him over to solidify behind Kershaw, and he didn't do it.
Is Verlander a Hall of Famer?
I'm going to say yes, even though his total body of work's not there yet. He's 188 wins. He's got the Cy, got the MVP. I really thought, DP, that his start, if he had pitched that Jack Morris start, in game 6, I'm thinking, or a Randy Johnson kind of start. I would say Justin Verlander will be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's a lock solid guy right now, but he's been one of the best pitchers in the last 10 years.
Are there Astro fans at the airport?
There is, and they're looking a little hungover, DP.
Hey, it's a happy.
A lot of orange.
It's a happy hangover, Al.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good hangover.
You know that feeling. You know that feeling a couple times.
Oh, just a couple, only twice.
Yeah. Hey, safe travels back. Always great to talk to you. Enjoy the off season. Thank you, Al.
You're welcome, DP.
That's Al Leiter, Major League Baseball Network, former Major League pitcher. Won a couple of World Series titles, pitched for Toronto and the Marlins.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.